how should we be thinking about the order in which we structure things or questions or stuff that we present?
Yeah. So I think when it comes to discovery, or if you're doing a disco demo or disco first and then a demo, whatever it is, I think the most important part is to find out what the motivation behind the prospect even being, whether it's they agreed to a meeting via cold prospecting or it was an inbound demo request, finding out the motivation behind them saying yes.
Mm-hmm.
Behind that motivation could be a pain, and behind that pain could be something bigger. And so the order of operation is really important. First, find out what the pain is. What is that problem? That could be something like, hey, Jason, you had mentioned that you wanted to look at these particular features. Out of curiosity, what's happening in your business right now that is putting these features top of mind? What challenges are you having right now that these features are really important? So that's the first question. The second question I want to know is, how big is that problem? Because on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being not really important, I'm window shopping, to 10 being mission critical, if those problems fall on the 8, 9, 10s, level of urgency is high, motivation is high, I can probably create or leverage the urgency that already exists and more likely to close that deal. So I may ask something like, so we know about the problem, so whatever that problem is, and I want to know how big that is. So you could say something like, hey, Jason, on a scale of like 0 to 10, 0 being like you rather go to, watch a movie, and 10 being mission critical, where does that problem fall? You can ask that question like that. And they may say at 9. What would make it a 10? What would make it a 7? What would make it a 5? Whatever it is. So that's the second question. How big is that problem? The third thing you want to know is who it's affecting. Is it just you that's dealing with this? Or I can't imagine you're the only one dealing with this within your company. Finding out who else is involved in that problem. And then the third, what are we at? That's 3. Number 4 is when do they want to solve that problem by? That's the timeline. That's like, hey, in transparent talk with salespeople, it's like, hey, when do you want to take out a credit card and pay? That's what we really want to ask, but we're not asking that. So, hey, given that you're dealing with this problem, and you're not only dealing with it, your manager's dealing with it, your VP's dealing with it, and it seems like it's a 10 because XYZ reason you gave. When would you at least want to start solving that problem by? What's a timeline to actually initiate this project? I'm asking about timeline. The timeline question is extremely important to ask after you've found out what the problems are. A lot of reps, what they do is they ask about the timeline after they go over pricing. And the reason why I don't think it works is because the moment, and a lot of times, by the way, reps go over pricing at the end of the sales presentation or the demo. So what happens is they do a little discovery, they do the demo, they show pricing, then they ask all these important questions. Who else is in your company? What the stakeholders, timeline. By the time you're done showing pricing, the prospect knows what your game is. They know you're trying to close them, so they already put their guard back up. But when the call starts, the prospect wants something that you have, which is the presentation. So they're more willing to answer your questions. So I recommend bring up the timeline question way up front in the beginning. The decision-making question, the decision makers and the stakeholders, bring that way up front. When you're trying to set up next steps, most reps set up next steps at the end of the call. Set that up way in the beginning. That's where all the guard is down. Assuming this demo solves your problem, assuming that you see this product solves your problem, do you think it would be a bad idea to schedule a follow-up with your VP, given that they're also going to be using this? Do that in the beginning. If they say yes, great. You've just set up next steps in the beginning of the call.